Welcome back. What an interesting agenda at the state capitol this year. We have marijuana, we've got casinos, and a grocery tax. That's what some people are talking about. With us today, two newly elected freshman lawmakers. We have Leslee Hill, she's from Canton, a Republican, and Wilson Pheanious from Ashford. She is a Democrat. We thank you both for being here today. And Representative Wilson Pheanious, I'll begin with you. This grocery tax wasn't really proposed, but it was talked about. It was on a list of about 1,000 different possible taxes that they were going to look at, and no one seemed to really like it. What's your take on that?
I did not like it. I was one of those who didn't like it. No, I don't think a grocery tax or a tax on pharmaceuticals is appropriate.
When that story first broke, what did your constituents tell you, Representative Hill?
They were very much opposed to it. A lot of concern about a grocery tax. I did get emails from constituents who had a lot of concern about that and the tax on medications as just being overly burdensome and really questioning where's the talk about spending cuts and reducing spending. I
want to talk a little bit about tolls because Ashford is somewhat of a border town. You're in the quiet corner in the Northeast, and a lot of your constituents travel out, out of state. What do you think about tolls? Do you support that?
Well, I support the fact that we need to do something to protect our infrastructure and to support our infrastructure, and tolls seems to be the vehicle that's going to be used. I am very concerned about situations where people going back and forth to work are going to have to pay multiple tolls. I'm very concerned about people that are under certain income levels having to pay tolls, but I do believe we have the wherewithal to be able to make some adjustments either through rebates or through other adjustments that can be made electronically, perhaps, so that I'm in favor of appropriate toll usage. I have seen some very scary toll maps that I think will not work for us. But I think if we do it correctly, and if we manage to put that money where it's supposed to be and into the infrastructure, then I think it's something that we're going to have to adjust ourselves to. I think that it's important that the many trucks and cars that are ripping through our states, tearing up our roads, and not benefiting us in any way, that we need to capture that money. But I don't want to hurt the everyday working person who could be overburdened by them. Most
Republicans I have spoken with have told me that they oppose the idea of tolls. Do you share that view at all,
Absolutely.
Representative Hill?
Yes, I do. Even though my district isn't adjacent to a highway or a border, but we commute, we travel. And I've heard a lot of pushback against tolls. People are very concerned about the state of our roads, of course, but we haven't heard anything about reduction of cost in the spending that we do on road construction, on road maintenance. Our cost to maintain roads is exponentially higher than any other state, and we haven't looked at the spending that's going on to understand where is all the money that we're already collecting in the gas tax, where is that going? So until we've gotten to the bottom of that, until we've looked at zero-based budgeting for these state departments and we understand how this money is really being spent, I can't support another way to take revenue and to take money out of the pockets of the majority of which will be from Connecticut residents.
You're both newcomers there. What is the mood there in terms of what you feel you can actually accomplish?
I think that if we work in a bipartisan fashion, if we listen to each other, if we struggle to do the very best we can for our constituents, I have hope that we can get some good things done this session.
I am optimistic. I like the tone that I've heard so far from the governor in terms of him reaching out and wanting to communicate with the Republicans. Obviously, we are in a distinct minority, but I know I come from a background where I was in town government and it was a very bipartisan, collaborative tone there. So that's what I'm used to. And I'm interested in working with anybody who's got a good idea.
Representative Wilson Pheanious, we've had some other of your colleagues on here who are, they like to call themselves progressive, and they're pushing for some other things that may be in conflict with what Governor Lamont wants. What's your position on some of these issues? For instance, the higher minimum wage.
Well, I'm certainly in favor of moving to a $15 minimum wage. I think it frankly needs to be higher. I don't think we will get there. I do think it has to be a very gradual increase. I am concerned about some of our smaller businesses and farms and others that may have difficulty, and so I'm looking for a gradual increase. But we have to do something for working people. for the working poor. There is no reason why a man or woman working a 40-hour week should have to have another 40-hour job in order to be able to make ends meet. And that is something that must be addressed, and I believe the minimum wage is an important part of addressing it.
Representative Hill, do you support the higher wage?
No, I do not at this point. My district has a lot of small businesses, and I think that the increase to the minimum wage is going to hit small businesses especially hard. Our state's economy is in critical condition right now, and first and foremost, we have to do no harm, and we have to create a sense of optimism in our business community and do everything we can to help businesses prosper and grow and stay in the state. And the small business community in my district is saying, we can't afford this right now. This is not something that's going to help us grow. It's not something that's going to help us hire more people. If anything, it's going to cause jobs to recede in my district.
If the Speaker came to you, Speaker Arson, and said, Pat, what's your idea for legalizing marijuana or not legalizing? What would you like to have?
Well, I would like to have legalization of marijuana, but I would like some certain things addressed. This cannot be something that hurts children. We have to keep it away from children. I'm pushing for a 25-year minimum. I may be in a minority in that regard, but I'm certainly trying to 25 to move the age beyond the point that a child's brain is developing. I also think we have to be concerned about some of the studies I've read about traffic issues. We have to be concerned about better methodologies of testing so that you can tell when someone is intoxicated, or not intoxicated, but whatever word you want to use for too high to drive. There's a lot of work that has to be done to make it safe, and there's a lot that has to be done in public education. There's a lot that has to be done in terms of in the mental health area and in supporting mental health, and there's a lot that has to be done with criminal justice to not only to address communities that have been historically hurt by by marijuana and by the fact that the illegal aspect of marijuana. So there are many, many issues that have to be considered as we move forward. But with it being all around us, with the potential revenue, not just from the selling of marijuana, but from the many parts of the industry that will grow jobs in Connecticut, and from the perspective of people having, adults I'm talking about, having the freedom to be able to utilize this substance that isn't harmful to adults. I think it's important that we look at what's happening with our neighbors, that we listen to the many people around us, and that we do it carefully and deliberately, but move forward, yes.
I'll let you have the final word on this. If Themis Claridis came to you and said, Leslie, what should we do about marijuana?
At this point, so much of the input that I have received has been from our public safety officers, from people in public health, from educators, and from the mental health professionals, who are all telling me that this is not a good thing for our people. I understand there's a revenue component there. However, I just read a great report that indicated that the states who have legalized already are still seeing the majority of the sales and the majority of use is coming through black market sales, that the retail storefronts are not providing the majority of the marijuana that's in the marketplace. So they're not getting the same level of revenue, and they're still grappling with the social issues. So it's not something that I support at this point until we see much better information about the impact on mental health, on addiction, on our youth, and employers and employee relationships, and all the other
We're out of time. I need to go to a commercial break, but thank you very much. Leslee Hill, Pat Wilson Pheanious, state representatives both. Best of luck in the Assembly this year.
Thank you.
When we come back, we'll talk with business leaders about Governor Lamont, and we welcome your comments on social media. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter right now.